My name is Brandon Crilly, and I wanted to welcome you to this very special pre-recorded edition of Bag of Giving. When we started this streaming series back in November of 2021, the very first game that we played was Fall of Magic from Heart of the Deernicorn, which is a GM-less, mostly storytelling-based game where adventurers go on a journey with a character called the Magus through a world where magic is starting to die and can potentially be brought back. If you watched that stream, either live or afterwards, you probably noticed that we had a ton of fun playing as our characters, and we decided to continue the fun afterwards because we didn't quite make it to the end of our journey in what was supposed to be a one-shot. So we got together again later to continue playing Fall of Magic, and we decided to record it, which is what we are presenting to you folks today. So Fall of Magic Part 2 was a ton of fun. We go on further journeys and see what happens to our four characters. And we learn more about the Magus, we learn more about them. There are some incredibly heart-wrenching moments and some incredibly hilarious moments. And I hope you enjoy. So if you haven't seen part one of Fall of Magic, you may want to go back and watch that first, and then tune in for this. If you've already seen part one, strap in for part two of Bag of Giving presents Fall of Magic.
Last little interlude, we arrived at the Hall of the Woods to discover it recently abandoned. Fawn went with the magus to the lake behind the hall and discovered that there were faces sealed under the ice and had a connection with those faces and took a little bit of like light and power from them. So Foothill and Caspian were sitting inside the Hall of the Woods. Caspian was sharpening his delivery knife that he uses for midwifing, and we were looking at the portraits on the walls, and they seemed to be looking back at us. Justice, I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly what you were doing. I think that you were vibing. I think that you were.
I was pure vibes. I was like looking around. I was also playing the Magus in this scene, so I was.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah. That's right. Your turn was at the end because you were playing the Magus the whole time. So Caspian's knife started responding to the song of the portraits on the walls and the people under the ice, and this led Caspian to realize that he got brought along for to kill the magus, and then you all voted on whether or not that's going to happen, and voted yes. And Dave completely ruined my life by saying that it's curious that anyone would think that there's more than one kind of midwife. It's messed up. And then Justice led us to the wild altar and contemplated the woods and the nature of transition. And I think that that's where we ended. Mm-hmm. Am I missing anything from that little interlude?
No, that's really thorough. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And so no magus murdering has occurred. We've just put lots of murder vibes into the air. And this is the magus. And so we're going to Spirit River. Spirit River has been frozen for as long as anyone can remember. And the uncertainty, the strangeness that we saw beneath the lake only intensifies as we travel down the river. The sound is whatever the opposite is of your hands clapping or falling down a hill or a whisper in the dark. It's the absence of things. But it resonates and you can't help but listen for the echoes. The magus is quiet as we travel. There's a ripening that we're feeling, that we're bearing witness to. fruit grows. We think of ripeness as something that is like a blossoming or a fullness or like something beautiful, but it's also like right before rotting. And it's a strange feeling to have as everything is so cold and so still and so quiet. I think we just travel in the wake of that silence as best we can.
So Caspian, I'm going to take a promise you won't keep. And if whoever is able to move tokens can move my token, that'd be great. Thank you. So Caspian has been very quiet since the realization that it's probably part of his role in this world, not only to deliver life into it, but to deliver life out of it. And he's increasingly angry at the magus. He's increasingly pissed that this very powerful person hasn't given him this information all this time and seems to be asking something of him that he absolutely does not feel equipped to do. That seems to really run opposite everything that he has ever tried to be in the world. And he's going to run up ahead of the group to try and catch up with the magus. Would one of you be willing to be the magus in this scene?
I can do it.
Great. So I'm gonna run up to you, magus, and say, you never answered my question.
The magus will pause and without quite looking at you say, I mean, do you really need me to give you the answer?
I want to know how you want this thing to happen so that you can have some say.
It's funny how often this part of our lives that we all have to go through, how much control we want over it, how little we have control over it. Why should I be able to have any more control over it than anyone else just because of who I am?
Because otherwise you're giving me all the control, and that's not fair. I didn't sign up to be in charge of this for you.
I mean, you did join our little party here willingly, knowing that you might be surprised along the way.
Caspian is like vibrating with rage right now. And is just going to say, you're a coward. That you keep putting these decisions into our hands.
I think it's like, you notice that like the May just, has been, throughout this whole walk, has been silent like everybody else. And there have been moments throughout this journey where, you like Caspian and everyone else, you've seen as things start to affect the mages more and more. And you watch like this kind of like that aloof sort of resolve that the mages have been carrying around is there, and the mage just kind of holds on to it for a second. Then you watch as her shoulders slump ever so slightly, not in defeat, but like in resignation. And again, still without quite looking at you, she says, "You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right." And then she finally does look at you and says, with a sort of tone as like, you get the sense that this is something that possibly the mage, like certainly the mage just doesn't say very often. and may have never actually said before to anybody, I'm sorry. But I don't have an answer for your question in this moment. I can't give you that right now. I can try to when the time comes. Sorry.
Caspian is like so disappointed, but is also recognizes that this is a moment of vulnerability, and you know, like his job has always involved coaching people through vulnerable, painful moments. So he's going to set aside his feelings for a minute and just put a hand on the magus' shoulder and say, I forgive you. And no matter what it ends up being, no matter what you end up wanting, I promise to do everything I can to make it as painless as possible. And that's going to be the end of Caspian's scene.
I think I'm going to choose River Fork, What We Regret. And Justice, I think, is going to approach everyone except the magus. They wake up early in the morning. I assume we've kind of set up camp around this frozen river, and maybe we're just like resting for a short while before we go on. But Justice wakes everyone up and is like, "Hey, just come with me. I have to show you something." And they take everyone to a fork in the river, and at the fork there is like a copse of aspen trees, and at their base there are bushes of wild berries, and they gesture to this copse of land and say, like, I know what these berries are. These are really safe to eat, and the trees are a great resource. We can, if we need firewood, we can get those trees, and the land here is really fertile. Actually, once it warms up a little bit, we can farm, and I can start building something. We can settle here. We can stop here. I can look after everyone. And what Justice regrets is bringing everyone to the Wild Altar. They are deeply regretting the painful realization that Caspian has had to have, and this dark turn that the journey has taken. And really, it's not even a turn, because they've all been heading to this. Like, this has been building this entire time, this tension between the magus and everyone else, and they regret not having caught on to it or asked more questions. And they're in the step of their personal journey, even, of like, when they were at the Wild Altar, Justice had the realization of like, oh, maybe my life is meant to be more than this. And now they're at the step of their journey, the personal journey, where they think, no, I was wrong. I can just be the apprentice to an architect. I don't even have to be an architect. If it means having to make difficult decisions like this. So they're just gesturing around and showing everyone how they can settle down at this river fork and how it's really beautiful. And they say, like, Caspian, if that's what you have to do to bring magic back, I don't think we need it. We've been doing great without magic. I don't think, Fawn, I'm so sorry to say this, but I know you've been studying this your entire life, but do you really want to do magic if it means such painful decisions, right? We can find a different way.
It's really getting to you, isn't it?
What's getting to me? Nothing's getting to me. I'm just showing you this good spot that I found at this river.
Fawn like unwraps like a ration of some sort and is like picking the sticky bit off of the container and licking it off her finger and looking at you through her eyelids like, okay, yeah, it's just this.
I think Justice kind of like gives her a nod and it like sits down like just at a boulder like, yeah, what do we what do we all think? Caspian foothill?
I don't know. I don't think we can survive on berries.
Well, of course not. We would have to go hunting and foraging further. But I think we can make a living here.
Have you
Or
ever hunted,
elsewhere.
Justice?
No.
Do you know how to take a life?
I haven't had to, and I don't. I'm. If going further in this journey means that I have to learn how to take a life, then maybe I'll just find other ways. There's always another way.
That must be nice to think.
What if there is another way?
What if there is?
Maybe, we keep on this path, and I mean there's always more than one way to do something. Like you don't build a boat the same way every time. I don't eat a goose like the same way every time. There has to be a different way to, like, maybe we don't have to. And he gestures kind of vaguely in the direction of where we left the Magus and doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Maybe like, but I don't know if, unless these berries are magic, I don't know if that's going to be the other way.
I think Justice kind of stands up and like is um pinching like the bridge of their nose and pacing a little bit and thinking very hard to themselves, and then they turn and face the rest of the group and is like, so you're all saying that you want magic back no matter what cost?
I don't think you got to put words in our mouth like that. I'm just saying, building boats in Astalia, like we see boats put together every day, and you build the bones first every time. And these bones of this thing right here that we're working with the magus, these bones are old. They've been built a long time ago. Maybe we can put a different sail on it, but the bones are already there. And it's
Oh my god. Full of fun. I think Justice is like is despondent at that answer and it's like I mean, but then they think back to what they've learned in architecture and like kind of transform this metaphor in their head of like, oh yeah, I wouldn't build anything on a bad foundation. And they say, like, I don't deal a lot with magic. I'm interested in building a new world, one that will last. I just didn't know that it would be like this. And I don't think I can make the decision to risk it all. I don't think I can say no matter what cost. I don't think I would risk my own life or any of your lives. And I think they just settle back down on this boulder next to the river fork, and they just watch the frozen water, imagining it running again, imagining the fish and the wildlife and the river grass underneath it. And I think eventually, maybe the three others in the group, sensing that Justice is not going to say anything more, do you guys just kind of drift back, or?
On the way drifting back, Caspian's going to take some of those berries off the bush and eat a couple and be like, I'm not sure these are ripe.
Justice looks at him and just with hopeless big eyes, just like, okay, right. Yeah, that's my scene.
Foothill, that's you.
Oh man, where do I want to go? Okay, I think I will. Okay, I'm gonna go drifting. Yeah, I'm gonna go drifting in memory of your parents, who Foothill has not talked about yet. Can I have two volunteers to as we do kind of a memory of Foothill's parents? Okay, so first I got Irene, and then somebody want to play. Yay, thank you. So I'm seeing Foothill, after this, and like kind of watching, watching Fawn, who seems unperturbed as far as Foothill can understand, and Caspian, who is obviously, in a rough spot, and then Justice also, and kind of try like this literal, like just kind of looking, trying to decide, okay, where do I focus my attention here? I can't do all this at the once. And ends up, since we advertised, so talking about drifting, it ends up sitting down beside Justice and relates the story of the last conversation that he had with his parents before they, the rest of the Giants of the Mistwood, went off on a journey and didn't come back. So we'll do, so whoever would like to play Foothill's mom and dad, you can either decide or jump in. I don't have names for them in mind. What's a good name for a giant other than Foothill? Someone got me.
I will take Dad.
Okay.
And I will be Peninsula.
Nice.
Peninsula. Ooh, I'll take Noel. Thank you, Dave, for the suggestion. Yeah, Noel. And I'm Yeah. Okay, cool. Mom.
What was the suggestion in the chat? Knoll, very nice.
Knoll, very cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Peninsula and Knoll. So, like, Asphodel is relating this to justice when, every time, like, in his community, when someone was going to leave on a journey out of the Mistwood, it's expected and kind of customary to kind of meet them at the edge of the mist and wish them well and so forth. And so, way back in time, we see, Foothill, walking out towards the mist a little nervously, because there should be, very nervous isn't the right word, but there should be a whole bunch of his family out having this conversation, but it's just him at this point, him and his parents. And as soon as they leave, it's just going to be him. And as he approaches them, he sees, Peninsula, who is like about a head shorter than Foothill is, but broad and like sturdy, like the thickest and strongest of trees, and Null, who is, like Foothill always has to look up to get a glimpse of, and is like wiry, but strong in this sort of like, you kind of bend with the stresses sort of way. And he sees the two of them standing there, and they're finishing whatever final preparation while they wait. And he walks up, and then the first words out of his mouth to his parents are, "I know I was supposed to be here about an hour ago. I'm sorry." Do you have everything you need? I brought, and he holds up like a bag just full of any sort of like random crap that he could, like, not even necessarily useful stuff. He's like, I have all, like, do you have everything that you need for the trip?
I think Noel takes Foothill's hands and kind of presses them to his side so that he can stop like fumbling with all the things, and she bends down and like goes to her knees and rests her chin on Foothill's head and is like, "My son, you know why we're doing this, don't you?"
I mean, I do. I mean, it's important to search and to find things, and I mean, I know you keep telling me it's important, but
she kind of, you can feel her like shaking her head a little bit, and like her chin goes like that on top of your head, and she goes, "No, it's bigger than that. It's because we want a future with you. That's why we're going."
I mean, don't we have enough? Like, don't we have enough? There's a future here still, isn't there?
Not a long one.
I think Noel like looks back to Peninsula and like reaches out an arm and goes like, come on over here.
Pencil's gonna just come over and just put one little hand on Foothill's shoulder. Say, we're proud of you for trying to stay. That's very brave, even if it's not what we want for you.
I know. I feel like there's still something left here. There's still. I don't know if I'm ready to give up on this place yet.
Noel starts like just by habit just plaiting a strand of Foothill's hair and she says like, someone's got to keep an eye out, who's going to welcome us back when we come back if not for you.
Kind of, sorry,
Go on.
Foothill takes this kind of like heaving breath and asks very, very quietly, but what do I do if I don't see you again? Like what if it's just me?
Null gives Peninsula a look that's like one parent looking to the other like, what do I say?
Peninsula is gonna do one of those really uncomfortable throat clears. Well, you have to know that even if you don't see us again in the Mistwood, you'll see us again after the Mistwood. So if you have to wait a long time, and I expect that it will be a long, long time before you find what's after the Mistwood, you understand? Even if you have to wait a long, long time, we'll be there. We'll be there waiting for you. And if you start hearing us in the Mistwood, that's how you'll know.
A long, long time, you say, huh?
A long, long, long time. That's what we want for you.
Null kind of gives a sniffle and shakes her head again and gives Foothill like a little rattle, like, silly boy, if you don't see us, you come find us. You hear?
And Peninsula is looking at Noel like the we talked about this look.
And Noel
what are you
gives
doing?
one back of like, it's what I want. I would want our son to come looking. I know that was, what you said, very nice and all, but
we discussed this. We discussed this.
She kind of puts her hands up and goes like, nope, I have to, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to, every moment away from you, I will miss you. So if you don't see us for a while, I will be missing you that entire time, and I would want you to come find me. Don't find your dad, whatever.
And she's like,
she throws her hands up and goes and packs like the stuff that's already packed, and she's just in a huff.
Peninsula's gonna like lean in very close to Foothill and be like, look, your mom has always had kind of a temper, a little impulsive. I'm not going to contradict what she said. We trust you, Foothill. You are brave and smart and kind. And when we're gone, you just do what you think is best. Trust yourself the way we trust you. And then huge forehead smooch.
Nice.
Bear hug. Like underneath Foothill's arms.
Yeah.
I'm going to go help your mother pack and let her yell at me a little bit because I think she needs it. You take care, okay? We love you.
I love you both. You take care too.
Noel's in that state where, like, when you've already said goodbye to someone and then you can't do it again because it just hurts too much. And so she's just like, she's not looking at anyone. She's just packing and like curses a little because she like rips out one of the strips of fabric. It's like, ah. And yeah, that's...
Peninsula's going to come over back to Foothill, like turns his back to Foothill, stands next to Noel and kind of just like is nodding at everything she's furiously muttering. Like, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, I hear you.
I kind of love that. I love that as like that's the last memory that Foothill has is just like, yep, that's their usual, and then like just the sound of that kind of yep, and then it kind of fades into their his parents' usual companionship is kind of they drift off into the mist. And as Foothill is finishing relating this to Justice in a much more rambly fashion, um, he says to Justice, there's a lot here that reminds me of them. Mom's her heart. I see a lot in you, and I see a lot of dads. That strength and that like holding on to things. I see that in Caspian. Fawn reminds me of my cousin Burrow. But I mean, even though I haven't found any of them, we found each other, and I think my parents trusted me so that I can trust other people, and that's you and Caspian and Fawn and the Magus.
I think Justice looks up and says, "Who does the Magus remind you of?"
She reminds me of the mist.
Justice just nods and says, like, "Well, you said we have to be together, and the important thing is that we're together. So I'm glad we can see eye to eye on that."
But it'll kind of like shrinks so it gets as close to actually eye to eye as possible, and says, I my dad was right. I stayed in place a little bit too long. You can't stay in place forever.
Yeah, they let out a long sigh and just kind of like shrink into their crouch a little bit more. Like they just need their moment of like throwing a tantrum. But
Yeah.
I think you see them start to like realize and come around. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Foothill will, they like kind of shuffle a little bit, like a little bit away to provide space, but still be in nearby just in case, and but give Justice that space while he just kind of sits there and thinks about home. Thank you for playing his parents.
As soon as Justice has given up their persistent perch on that little outcropping by the fork, Fawn drags the Magus over there. And it's like the idle expression that was on Fawn's face just like washes away and it's all business now. And like she's like whatever the gender neutral way of manhandling is with the Magus is just like hand on the sleeve, like you're coming with me, and there's like basically no respect in the gesture, right? And she pulls her to the little outcropping that's near the fork that she was studiously ignoring earlier. And she's pointing east towards Estalia, and she's pointing southeast towards the land between here and Stormguard, and is like, "Do you see this?" And sorry, Gailey, can you be the Magus, please?
Yes, absolutely. See what? What do you want me to look at?
None. Do you know I grew up not too far from here? A little shitty ice fishing village, like maybe like 2 hours ride that way. And you know what? None of these colors are right. This is a gray place. This is a dark green place. This is a rock blue place. And and I part the the like shitty frozen like frost burnt grass on this little outcropping, and there's these like veins of uh of magma that you can barely see because of all the mist that's coming up from them. This shit isn't supposed to be here. And the lights over that city that made me whatever whatever this is, aren't supposed to be that color either. And normally like the Aurora Borealis, well, whatever it's called, the Estala Borealis is like ribbons of 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 like silver, copper, gold, like all these metallic colors, just like threads from like the minarets to the clouds, and it's this beautiful thing. And there's this wine ruddy tint to everything, and it's broken. It's broken, and what are you going to do about it?
I noticed that you said that you grew up in the past tense, and yet you pretend not to know what's happening here.
I was in short pants and snot nosed in that village down there. You know what I'm saying. What are you going to do about the sky? What are you going to do about the bloody hot earth?
I'm going to do what we're all going to do.
You're going to fix it? This is going to fix it.
No, nothing ever gets fixed. But I'm going to add to it.
Well, you better do something.
Okay. And the magus is just going to take a finger and stick it down into one of the veins of magma. And then pull the finger out. It's very badly burned. Say, are you happy?
You're going to want to put that in the frozen river now.
I don't think I am. I'm just going to put the hand in my pocket. Shall we move on? Or are you going to yell at me some more?
You can move on. I don't know if I'm going to.
If I see your parents, I'll tell them you said you were finished.
Oh.
Maybe just going to turn to walk toward the horizon.
And I'm like, my parents are long dead. What kind of magus are you?
The kind that's going to see them soon.
Oh, shit. I think Fun says that out loud. Like, oh, shit. So then Fawn is the one hanging out on the outcropping for way longer than she should be. So, and she's caught, her eyes are caught on the bloody ground, in the bloody sky, in this silent place where things are supposed to be silent. And Brandon, can you tell me what the sound coming from Astalia sounds like?
Sound coming from Astalia. I think to Fawn, I think you can hear almost like discordant music, like it's ever so slightly off key.
Mm.
Like in a way that maybe everyone else couldn't figure out, but or couldn't pick up on, but you can tell every few notes, if that makes sense.
Because the maestro is up dicking another soprano.
Yep.
Irene, what does it sound like from the south where the magma's coming from?
I think you hear this wind, but not like airflow. You can only hear it by process of elimination. It's like this wave of frequency that just phases out the music coming from Astalia. Like the tunes from Astalia like just warble and then fall to a dead silence, and all you can hear is your surroundings, which is also very quiet. But yeah, it's like this canceling out frequency.
Fawn's just like shit, and like is staring at the magna seam, like like holding her fingers and the steam coming out of it, like she's thinking about sticking her hand in there too, and she's like just shit, and then she walks away and like leaves it behind and is like following back the mages to like join everybody else, and it's just like, and that's it. Gailey, you're the mages. Where are we going?
I think we have to go to Astalia. I think we gotta go to Astalia.
100%.
Unless you strongly object, Fawn.
They're both good ways. One of them is the belly of the earth, and the other one has a lot of like hot, dark academia happening.
I love hot dark academia.
So they're basically the same. They're the same.
Yeah. Just like, do you want it in a volcano or?
I feel like we have to go to Astalia and confront Fawn's past. We got to meet all your exes.
Well, just for, in case you need the reminder, and if you don't, forgive me. But so the mage's move here is the hospitality of the Gilded One. Is the move.
The hospitality of the Gilded One.
Yeah.
The magus chooses Astalia after the conflict with Fawn, both because the magus could read how worried Fawn was about the city looking wrong, and also because the magus is pissed at Fawn and wants to put her in an uncomfortable situation. But more than any of that, it's because the magus needs to visit the high priest in Astalia to get their finger fixed. So the magus leads everyone into Astalia and heads directly for the high priest's tower and knocks on the door at the bottom of the tower, and presents their finger to the person that answers. And the next time the group sees the magus is wearing a glove. Their eyes are extremely hollow, and they have a new white streak running through one eyebrow and up into their hair. The eyelashes on that eye are all white, and it's clear that something significant has been taken from them.
I love how Fawn and the mages are so petty. It's just, what's going on? I'm going to choose Starfall Academy, How You Fix What Is Broken. And Justice takes a wander through Astalia, and I think after the magus comes back and looks so changed, Justice is like, this group, this magus, I don't know what to do with all this. I'm gonna try and just recenter myself. I'm gonna go meet some strangers. I'm gonna be a tourist for a little while, and they take a wander through this place, and they pass this beautiful structure with so much stained glass and ornate gilding. And Dave, could you actually give me a description of Starfall Academy?
Fine buttresses,
Mm-hmm.
ornate columns,
Mm-hmm.
brocade wallpaper that has seen better days, but still has a bit of shine to it.
Mm-hmm.
With enough darkness and that you can't see the dust in the corner.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a very quiet place because as Fawn mentioned, music is a dangerous thing and is a magical thing that can be wielded. So Justice, I think in their familiarity with architecture is just like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that's used to dampen sound around here. Like this wood panel that's just erected, a few feet away from the outsides of the school is meant to just absorb sound. And they kind of wander around the structure because they're like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be in there or if I need an invite. It looks a little fancy, but they come around the corner of the academy and see a group of students just standing outside one of the buildings, and they're just arguing with each other. Like one's got their arms crossed and they're just like refusing to engage. Obviously they've been there for a while and they're just like, nope, not talking to you, any of you. And two of the other students are just engaged in a heated debate of like, no, you did that. Like you go to our supervisor and tell them that like you broke this classroom and you're going to have to pay for it. And the other one was like, I didn't do anything. We did this together. And I think if I could get 2 volunteers to play the 2 arguing students. Brandon, yes. Dave, yes. Amazing.
I get to argue.
Actually, Brandon, could I specifically ask for you to be the prima donna?
Sure.
That Fawn had dalliances with.
Oh no.
And Dave, you may choose to be any other student, but yes, one of the students is the prima donna. Not that Justice knows. Right. But Justice kind of comes around and is like, oh, what happened here? Can I help? What's going on?
I feel like the prima donna kind of looks Justice up and down immediately. And what, one of yours, you trying to bring backup here is like, I'm sorry, you need backup to deal with this? Which says to Dave Scared. Yeah, you.
I'm the mezzo soprano, by the
way. Perfect.
I wouldn't need backup if you could figure out your cholera chora.
Every time you bring that up, do you know what it does to me? And you spiteful. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. We are not having this conversation.
Hey,
you need to.
Hey, everyone. I've just noticed your structure that's come into a bit of disrepair, and my name's Justice. I'm an apprentice to an architect, and I was wondering if I could help you with anything. Like maybe I don't know a lot about what magic you do, but I know about the structure of rooms, and sometimes you probably know this. So stop this if I'm telling you something that you already know. But like a room has a frequency that when you sing into a wine glass and it shatters. Of course, sorry. I'm just saying maybe that happened to the room, and well, you just need to fix it. You just need a bit of mortar. I can help you with that.
I turn to the prima donna and I'm like, I think, is this an admin? Like what?
I mean, are they contracting out now? Because if they're bringing in more help, I feel like that's going to be good for everybody as long as you have to get your hands dirty at the same time.
I turn back to Justice and I'm like, you can pick up your uniform in the front hall, perhaps.
um,
This is where students gather.
this is, you mean you're supposed to gather outside classrooms that you've just broken?
We gather where we choose.
Right.
Yeah,
It's called
you know,
free run.
I'm so sorry. I'm the trespasser here. I just stumbled upon here and I thought I could maybe help. But you know, if a uniform will make you feel more comfortable, I'll get that right away. I think they have a very like comedic run through the bureaucracy of Stoffel Academy, and they're like, I'm here to pick up a uniform, I think. And people are like, who are and they're like, you know what? Actually, don't worry about the uniform. I saw a wheelbarrow. Obviously, you guys don't keep things in sheds locked up, and I don't forget I even came. And they just like go around the far side, pick up the wheelbarrow, and it's like, oh, you guys, you already have everything to fix this building. You're fine. Like this is just such a simple fix because nothing crumbled. It's literally just a corner of the wall that popped out. So we'll just glue it back in until you can, you probably need this rebuild. But yeah, if you just give me a hand.
Prima Donna just kind of holds up their hands like
I
just
have
these
to go-
elegantly manicured. Like,
Yeah. I have to go have a threesome with some baritones.
Don't you feel responsible for this room?
I don't know
you've
what
broken?
those words mean. Okay.
Prima Donna is just
we're not
rolling her
good.
eyes.
I'm going to look to like the student that's been like crossing their arms and looking away furiously, and I'm going to pull them aside. And Gailey, if I could get you to play that student, Justice is going to say to them like, they don't seem to be listening to me. Hi, my name's Justice. I was wondering if you, as a fellow student, could talk them into helping me because, I mean, I know what to do, but I'm not strong enough to pick up this huge slab of wool. So,
I mean, I can try, but I'm going to be real with you. I'm an alto. They don't respect me at all. I can give it a shot, but they're just going to say something about how I need to practice making bell noises and... Yeah, I'll try though. Hey.
Oh, look.
Ladies.
Here comes the alto again.
You know how you carry us in arrangements? Maybe you could similarly help carry this piece of wall.
Justice has a like hand on their shoulder, like, yeah, you got this. You know how to speak their language. You're getting through to them.
And the alto is so defeated. It's just so like exhausted. Like, I'll support you, which is what you always say I'm good for.
So what
if
I'm
you
hearing,
can lead.
So what I'm hearing is that we're going to do the important work and you're going to do the lifting.
Oh, hey. Hey. Justice is just gonna like circle around to them and just like one hand on each shoulder is like, let's focus on the room that's broken. Let's focus on fixing what's broken.
I'll do all the bums you want. All right. I'll be a rhythm section if that's what it takes for you to just get started.
I'll give everyone some instructions if that helps. I need someone on the inside of the room to kind of make sure we don't push the piece too hard, too far in. And then just like one other person to help me lift this chunk of wool on the outside. That's all we need.
Are you a conductor?
No, I'm an architect.
Are you a choir leader?
No, I'm just passing by.
These guys aren't going to listen to a thing you say.
Okay,
You don't-
wait right here. And I'm going to run back to where we're staying and grab Fawn. I'm going to be like, so I went by this really, really cool building, honestly. But there was a broken room, and it feels wrong to leave it just broken there because no one's doing anything. But there are students outside who are arguing with each other instead of fixing what's broken. Can you come with me? I feel like, I don't know, you're really good at getting through to people, Fawn. Better than I am anyway.
Justice.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances will I be going with you to Starfall Academy.
Starfall Academy. Oh, that's the name. How do you know the name? Wait, did you go to school there?
Justice.
Yeah.
You know I went to that university.
I forgot. I need to consult my notes sometimes. I'm forgetful. But you went to that academy. Well, then you probably know the people there and how to get through to them.
Tell them it's because you're getting the room set up for an orgy.
Whoa. Oh, wow.
See if that works.
You're so smart. Ooh. You know, one of the students did say that they're going to have a threesome with some baritones. So
That's
that really...
all they're really good for.
Really?
Well, the lower end of the scale doesn't really accomplish as much.
Oh. I thought you meant that's what the students there are good for. And I thought, I mean...
Well, no, that's what I said.
Oh, I mean, but you're so capable and you do plenty of other things.
I'm not a baritone.
You're not a baritone. Right. Well, I haven't met enough baritones to pass judgment on them, but why don't you want to come back?
Justice. There's a lot that we can talk about on the road.
That's fair enough. Well, I'll try your trick.
Just remind them that aftercare is important, okay?
Oh, you're so right. It is really important. I'll give them a reminder. I think everyone could use that reminder every now and then. And Justice is kind of like, okay, off I go again, like runs back and forth through the city. And their mood has definitely lifted, I think, because they're like, oh, I know how to do this. I know how to fix what's broken, especially in this context. And the lie about setting up rum for an orgy works like a charm. They're like, this room? We're meeting in this? Oh, you should have said so. Oh. And they end up fixing the wall and Justice kind of like dusts off their hands. And it's like, whew, okay. And I think this very good day just kind of percolates in the back of their mind. And it's like, there's still reason to be optimistic. Like little things like this can still make me feel good about myself and remind me who I am. Yeah. Thanks everyone for that scene.
Okay, I will admit I've totally lost track of our order of play. Am I next? Okay, perfect. That was, yeah. Okay.
I think it's Dave.
Is it? No.
We're going by the order of the names on the side of
Oh, gotcha.
Full of Magic. Yeah.
We might have tweaked the order from last time, but
We may have.
But at this point, I think where it goes Fawn, Caspian, Justice, Flail right now.
Okay,
Yeah. Oh, and sorry, I forgot see where it says a strange price and there's like a glyph in front of it?
Oh yeah.
If you pick that one, I think you're meant to change something critical about your character.
Ah, okay.
So it could be you change your name, you change your title, you change where you're from, you change your token, or
Okay.
if you have a like a quality from a previous location in the game, you could lose it, or yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm thinking. Gailey, is Caspian around?
Caspian's around.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Crab Cove. And as we're in, like from the moment we set foot into Astalia, um, Foothill is there's just absolute amazement on his face, and he's trying really hard to hide it, but to be surrounded by this much that is noticeably bigger than him and not natural. Like it's not trees, it's not, but he's just like, I'm not this. I'm not sure that I understand this, and just like not quite like childlike wonder, but it's like wow. And spends a few minutes, and he's just like he's listening to all the sounds and watching people going by and really paying attention to all the notes and music that he hears, trying to catch the same sort of thing that he caught outside that inn what feels like forever ago. But then he sees someone walking by with a crab trap, and realizes, and it hadn't dawned on him until this point, that they are incredibly close to an ocean, which he has never seen. And so he said, and so he says to Caspian, Caspian, I want to see the ocean. And he like leans down really goes like, I'm not sure I know how to find it. Do you want to help me find the ocean?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And Caspian's gonna point at the guy with is the crab trap full or empty?
Full.
Okay, so Caspian's gonna point at that guy and be like, let's ask him.
Oh, okay. And there's a moment of hesitation, and then he's like, okay. And like lumbers across, cuts off 3 people, doesn't even notice, just like, and from afar, Caspian, you watch this interaction of like this wide-eyed crab person just like staring up at this being, and at first like starts to hand over the crab trap, and Frodo's like, no, you just see Frodo waving, no, that's not, it's yours. And they have a brief back and forth, and the crab person just like, and just points down the street. The Foothill turns towards you and gives like just the most excited, just like grinning thumbs up, and starts to walk.
I'm gonna just run after Foothill. I'm gonna have to run pretty fast because his strides are so long.
Yeah, and eventually he realizes that he like shortens his stride a little bit and mutters an apology, sorry, and takes like kind of like the steps that he's learned how to take when you folks are on the road, and so you can match pace a little bit easier. And it takes some weaving and probably asking directions a couple more times before eventually you can smell the salt of the ocean. And like the moment that Foothill notices this, he describes it in detail. Like, it doesn't quite smell like the rocks. I think it smells it's a little bit chalkier. I think, like, he's just going off. And then you start to notice more people carrying crab traps of varying fullness, and lobster traps and all the and carrying fishing poles and finally you crest, or you reach a point where the road starts to slope down, and from that vantage point you can see Crab Cove, and you can see this just vast expanse of ocean. And Foothill stops and he turns to you, Caspian, and says, "How far out do you think I can walk in that?"
Buddy, maybe we should ask one of these fishermen if there's like a big drop off or a riptide, because the ocean. Oh, do you know anything about the ocean?
I mean, well, every once in a while, one of my people would go and they'd want to go searching for one of the. And they were supposed to bring back information about the ocean, but the only one who came back was my cousin Burrow, and he kept describing it as something really hard, and kind of shiny and silvery. And so I don't think he found the ocean. So that's not what this is, right? Unless is that the ocean and this is something else?
This is the ocean. That sounds like the moon. I don't know where your cousin Burrow went, but look, just ask one of these fishermen if it's safe to go in the water, because the ocean, it's like a mountain.
Yeah.
It's like that, but upside down.
Wait, so it's
So you see how you would want to not go in it if. Just ask a guy.
Okay. I'm pretty tall. It can't be taller, but if it's like a mountain,
it can be a lot taller than you.
oh,
That's the thing. It can be like taller than anybody. And if you fall in it the wrong way, there's like big monsters in there that could eat you.
why did anybody tell me that there's monsters in there? Now we got to go see it. Just like literally grabs. This is the most exciting you've ever seen Foothill. Grabs someone by the shoulder, realizes what he's done, is like, and like, how deep is the ocean? I don't know, David or Irene, if you want to very briefly play this random fisherman that I've accosted.
It's deep.
Okay, but is it like a mountain?
What are you talking about? It's the ocean. It's deep.
Okay, but that doesn't
call the deep.
Well, okay, but how? Like, is it deep? Is it deeper than?
You are very big.
Thank you. Will I be able to go and stand in it without monsters, or with monsters?
It's low tide.
And Kettle looks at Caspian, clearly not understanding what that means.
Foothill, do you know how to swim?
I mean, I've never had to.
You look like you'd sink to me.
Caspian's gonna look at this passerby and be like, "Will
he
he
looks like
drown?
A sinker.
Will he drown if he just goes and walks in?"
He looks like a sinker.
But is it shallow enough that he could stand in it without drowning and dying?
Just don't go past your knees are very high. I don't know. He throws up his hands and walks away.
And then it occurs to Foothill.
Ask that other guy.
My friend asked about a sudden drop. He would have mentioned a sudden drop, right? Let's go find out.
I can't stop you.
But you're going to come with me, right?
I have to ask something that might be offensive.
Okay.
And I don't mean it to be offensive. Just logistically, I think it would make sense. Can I sit on your shoulders? Going, because that water looks very cold, but I don't want to leave you by yourself.
Like the moment of puzzlement on Foothill's face is like, well, of course you can. Why would that be offensive?
I don't know. You're very tall.
Yeah. Do you want to be on my shoulders like starting now or when we get there?
Yeah, let's get me up there now.
Okay.
So I can get used to being up so high before we die.
Okay. And if you start to feel like you're going to be sick, you just let me know and I'll put you down. I had a raccoon once that, and it doesn't matter. and they like very carefully and slowly lifts Caspian up, and I guess like just kind of sit on the back of his shoulders. And then what would he? Yeah, he just goes, and it probably faster than is safe for you. but and just like thump 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 like that. And past like Crab Cove, is whereas the rest of the city is very big and fanciful. Crab Cove is much smaller, and it's a lot of these like small brick kind of round cabins around this cove. And all of the people that live and work there, they see Foothill coming from a mile away, and scatter. And the closer you get to the water, the more Foothill starts to slow down as he finally he takes in just how like wide this is, and reaches the edge of the cove, or the sandy beach that's there, and looks at it, just this like perfect crystalline ocean. There's not a wave in sight. And he just stands there at the edge and sticks and says to Caspian, "Are you ready?"
Probably not, but I think you are.
Okay. He ever so hesitantly puts one foot into the water and then like rears it back and yelps.
You okay?
He turns and enough so you can see his face, and you see he's wearing this kind of mischievous grin, and he starts forward slowly and carefully, 1 foot after, and then slowly steps out into the ocean, until he reaches the point where he's up to his knees, and then he stops, takes this deep breath, and he says to Caspian, have you ever smelled anything or felt anything like this?
I'm gonna be honest, buddy. Mostly what I can smell right now is your hair.
Oh,
It's nice. It's nice. But
okay, you don't want me to put you down then.
yeah, go for it. Put me down. Put me down. I'll be in the water with you.
Okay. So he lifts him and carefully and slow realize, oh no. And then, oh, are you? Do we need to step back? Are you okay?
Caspian is treading water.
Maybe we.
And it's just like, I'm okay. You want to go further?
I mean,
Let's go. And Caspian starts swimming out.
okay. And so Fiddle starts following and reaches a point where the water is now up to his waist, and then he stops. I don't know if Caspian keeps going or not, but
Caspian stops and is like, what do you think? Yeah. What do you think?
Foothill kind of you can see like, or he leans down a little bit, puts one hand in the water, one massive arm, and as you're treading water, you can feel his palm there trying to give you a little bit of support, just enough so that if you want, you don't have to tread water anymore.
Caspian's gonna very gingerly accept this and kind of fold his legs under him, so he's like kneeling in Foothill's palm, but still waving the arms, so all the weight's not on Foothill. What do you think? You're in the ocean.
I mean, it's something. You're right, it's very cold. Tastes like salt.
Get down here with me.
Sorry, say that again.
Caspian's like, get down here with me.
Okay. And he lowers himself so he's sitting. So I guess the water's like up to here or something now.
All right. On the count of 3, do you know how to hold your breath? Great. Come on. And Caspian's gonna go, and then
Nice.
go down under the water.
Okay.
Eyes wide open.
Oh, yeah. Foothill does the same, and like his eyes go wide as soon as he sees you. Looks out and just sees deep, and all these bubbles start. As he gasps, all these bubbles start coming. And then he kind of realizes what he's done, and bursts out of the water. Hair just like slids, like everything about him is like wet, shaggy dog. Does it once more. and he pauses, and as he's sitting there, you watch as the exuberance that you've seen this whole time, for the first time, doesn't quite fade, but gets noticeably tempered a little bit. And he says to you, "Are you having fun?"
I'm having fun if you're having fun. Are you having fun?
I am, but that's why I wanted to bring you along.
It's big, huh?
That's bigger than a mountain, I think.
Yeah. I think you're right. You want to go back?
Yeah, I think let's go back ashore and dry off and stuff.
You want to look one more time before we go?
Yeah. Deep breath. And then they eventually head back. Thank you.
That's so sweet. Oh, I can't. You need to not click on the Zoom. Okay.
I think it's fun. Yeah.
So as soon as Justice goes down the road back towards the academy and the two boys head off towards the ocean, Fawn gets together like the bedraggled little bills and coppers in her purse, and she buys a ticket at the train station. Because she just doesn't want to do this anymore. And like as soon as Justice asked that bit about like, can you go back up that hill, across those cobblestones and go back to that college? And it was just like, under no circumstances. And that's like the phrase she keeps saying like over and over again in her head. And she buys the damn ticket and she's like, I'll go live in Stormguard. That's what she's saying to herself. I'm gonna go live in Stormguard. They might need singers. But like right when the train pulls up and she'd be getting on, the maestro steps off. And when the train goes away, she's still there in Astalia. And Justice, would you be the maestro?
Yeah, of course. The maestro, I think, is wearing this long overcoat. It's tan and it's very well made. It's like it looks very warm and well loved. And underneath, what pronouns does the maestro use?
He and they.
He, him, they. Great. He's wearing this, like I think half of his conducting outfit. He's like half in black tie already. It's clear that he's here for a performance of some kind, and he steps off the train and kind of just like meets Fawn's eyes directly and freezes for a moment, and the people behind him is like hello, but like all the it's a very cinematic, like all the steam from the train is billowing past them, and he just freezes for a moment before he steps aside for all the passengers behind him, and he kind of just says like, oh, huh.
And all I can think about is his little filigree gold buttons
Hmm.
are fucked up. Like every time he puts on that shirt in a hurry, does the buttons wrong. And like it's taking everything in me to not reach out and fix them.
Hmm. I think he also has that memory, and like upon seeing you, he immediately like runs a hand through his hair and like tugs on his lapels a little bit, and is like suddenly aware of his appearance, and he looks at the space between you and frowns a little because he's a little uncertain of how to approach anymore.
And I see that and I take a step back, cross my arms, clear my throat.
I think
Hi.
he seeing you retreat is like, oh no, I like kind of like, oh no, that's, I don't want you to step back and give me space, I want to talk. And he steps a little closer so he doesn't have to yell across the few feet of distance, and he says, are you coming back to the school, Fawn? I haven't seen you in a while.
I like look away because I can't look at him, and I happen to be looking in the direction of the train station bar.
uh, he kind of catches your eyes, and he like gives a little, like a warm little chuckle, and it's like, is it easier of a margarita?
Fun like literally laughs and is like, we're gonna go drink some whiskey. And like and like I don't know, I feel like it's like a standing at the bar, like 2 shots, and like there's still this awkward tension and uncertainty, but like it's somewhat lubricated by fire water. And now it's like I'm not coming back.
You're not coming back.
You're not saying you missed me, so I think that's fine too. We're here, but I'm not coming back.
Fawn, do you need me to say that I missed you?
You probably shouldn't, because it'll taste like copper in my mouth.
Yeah. I'm premiering something tonight. You should come see. I'll get you a backstage pass so you don't have to sit with the other students in the first 3 rows.
If you think that I can't still talk myself backstage in that building, then
You're right, absolutely. And he like gets you another drink and is like, this is on me. Goddamn. And he says to you, Fawn, he says, I feel like you think you left in a disgrace. You at the end of everything, you grew very withdrawn, right? And you think you left a mess, but it was fine. It's what everyone does in that place. I mean, I stayed long enough to be the maestro.
Fawn can't take it anymore, and she fixes the fucking buttons.
And he kind of goes, oh, shit. Like, always that one. Yeah. And I think he kind of like squeezes your hand a little bit, like, yeah, thanks for that.
They squeeze it back, but then like put it carefully back at his side. Like that's where it belongs now.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to leave, but put my name at the door +4.
+4. I'm so stupid. I didn't ask what you're doing now. What are you up to? You look
Well, I'm not in a poly quad rule. Whatever. Anyway, just make sure there's tickets there if I need them, okay?
Right. Yeah, of course. Under your name, or should I come up with something fake?
You can put it under her name. And then I leave.
Okay. Woo! I love this. The academia, it's dark.
Okay, Caspian. Caspian is going to go to the marketplace of magic. I think that Foothill is probably Foothill. Are you going to want to come with, or are you kind of like need time to process the ocean?
I'm happy to come with if you like.
Dave, if Foothill comes with, is Foothill also beholden to the leaf symbol, or is it just me?
That's a good question. The leaf merely will affect Caspian.
All right.
Unless Foothill gets caught up in it, and then that's up to Foothill.
Okay. Foothill, do you have a preference either way of coming with or not?
I'd love to. Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah. So after we come out of the ocean, Caspian's gonna be like, "Hey, let's wait to eat. I think that I saw like a farmer's market situation over that away. It's a very long walk because it is the other side of town."
Yeah, we can. Do you think as long as it's nothing salty? I think back there a little bit.
A little bit too much. Yeah, no, we can get some saltless snacks. Let's go. And Caspian is kind of like squirrely and weird about this. Oh, can someone who can move a token, would you mind moving my token onto the Marketplace of Magic?
Sorry, I keep forgetting.
When we arrive at the Marketplace of Magic, it looks a lot like a farmer's market. There's a couple of people selling food, but it is clearly not the main attraction. There's just stall after stall, and each one has a sigil over the top of it and nothing on display, no wares. And so I'm going to be like, hey, Foothill, which food do you want?
It kind of looks between the two stalls. And even the food stalls, there's nothing.
The food stalls have stuff on display. There's one that has like a lot of fresh fruit and produce that's like cut and prepared. So it's kind of like you can get a little bowl of cut fruit. And there's one that's selling whole hams, just whole hams, and then huge wheels of cheese. And both of them are selling these little cakes that are shaped like crabs. Oh, and man. You cannot tell from the outside if they are sweet or savory. They are just crab shaped. The only difference between the stalls is that one of them, the crabs are like a saffron yellow, and the other one, the crabs are like a deep, deep red.
Oh, okay. Deep red crabs with the ham. He has no choice. He like that. Yeah.
That just makes sense.
Yeah.
Caspian's gonna give Foothill a little money and just be like, "Would you go? Yeah, two of that."
Like you want a whole? That's a
two of that. I'll just have what you're having, and okay. I'm gonna hit the outhouse.
Right. Okay.
Real fast. Yeah. The ocean made me had to pee because I drank a lot of it.
Yeah, I thought you told me not to do that.
I'll see you in a sec. Thanks,
Yeah.
bud.
Okay.
And Caspian is gonna just shoot over to a stall that is like 7 stalls down from the food, so it's far enough away that like Foothill could see Caspian, but Caspian can't quite see Foothill, so like he thinks he's being sneaky. And this stall has a sigil over the top of it that looks like if a mountain got turned upside down. And this has been on Caspian's mind all fucking day. Wait, are we not swearing on this? I don't remember. It's been on Caspian's mind all.
We're
We've
swearing.
already done a lot of swearing. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And this whole time, Caspian has just been like, I gotta get this. Can someone be the stall proprietor? Dave, would you be the stall proprietor?
Okay. I could also just be the stall itself, which is what I was prepared to volunteer for. Sorry, keep going.
So Caspian comes up to the stall proprietor and is like, hey, are you taking customers today?
I'm at the market. Yes, I'm taking customers.
Okay, well, there's no need to be. Anyway, and Caspian's gonna pull out the delivery knife and just slam it on the table in between them and be like, I need help with this.
And the vendor like shifts their head from left to right and like moves in like they're maybe gonna pick it up, and then they're like, I think that belongs to you.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Yeah. I don't think anyone wants that.
Can you help? Look, and Caspian's gonna like very quietly start singing the sharpening song, and the glow of the blade is gonna look a little sick, like a little weak and a little wrong.
The vendor has a couple like it's like, you know, like goggles with like different lenses that like pop up, and like they consider briefly like using them, and then they're like, no, I don't want that.
Look, I mean, and Caspian's gonna sing the song again and then pick up the blade and be like, look, it's wrong. It's sharpening the hilt, and like grab the hilt, and it's just gonna dig in and make a little cut on Caspian's hand. And when he slams it back down again, there's blood on the hilt. He's gonna go back. I can't use it like that.
And the vendor's like, hands you a cloth and is like, listen, boy, wipe that up and then walk away from my stall. And don't try to pull this with anybody else. That belongs to you. You belong to it. Don't pretend you knew otherwise.
You said you were taking customers. Is there
Yeah,
anything
well,
that I can give you to make you help me?
And they take like a big box from like underneath the thing and they like put it on the table. And then they're like, I'm not buying anything from you, but I'll sell something to you.
What could you sell me that would possibly help me with this?
It's not helping me. Maybe it'll help you. And they just open the box up. And there's like a really pretty, like too pretty for what it is, like blue satin, like something like a really sort of egregiously not inappropriate fabric, and it's a sheath. It's a sheath, and it has a little like a silvery belt that goes with it, and there's a pink ribbon on it. It's like braided around it, and there's little green feathers. It's like ostentatiously pretty. And they're like, you can buy this, whatever's in your pocket, except for that damn knife.
What vibe does the sheath have? Like what energy does it radiate?
Like a seething, like shouldn't be in the shape that it's in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Caspian is gonna like look around to see if he can see Foothill around. Is Foothill anywhere nearby?
Oh man, I will say that Foothill is like you can is bent over almost 90 degrees, carefully picking out, like carefully comparing wheels of cheese. Like it has to be the perfect. He's not paying any attention.
Okay. Caspian's like, whatever's in my pocket for that. Okay. And Caspian's going to pull out a little lock of Foothill's hair that he cut when they were walking into the ocean and hand it over. This is what I have.
They take it and they put it in their pocket and they hold the box out and they say it's yours.
What's it do?
We'll figure it out.
All right. And Caspian's going to take the sheath and put the knife into it blade first, the way that it's supposed to go. And not tie it on, just kind of carry it. And he's going to go to Foothill, like looking behind him the whole time and be like, hey, did you get whatever you were getting?
When you look behind you, though, the vendor isn't there. The table's not there. And it's like it never existed.
Oh, no. That's some monkey's paw shit, man.
Yep.
So Foothill is holding he's holding up this massive amount of cheese, and he's like, this is like an ocean worth of cheese. Are you like? And he just holds it out to you, and so there's the cheese, and then one of the crabs on top.
Yeah, we'll share it with the gang. You know, Fawn loves cheese.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know if Fawn likes anything. Hey, Footy. How are you feeling? You feeling okay?
I mean, I still taste a lot of salt. And it's still wet in like a few places. I think I'm should I not I think I'm fine. Should I not? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Let's go. Let's go get the gang.
Okay.
Let's go get them. Let's go get this cheese to him. Get you dry.
Okay. And he
Okay.
hands you back one of or hands you one of the wheels, and then kind of just idly scratching the back of his head as you start walking.
So something fundamental about Caspian needs to change as a result of this interaction. Does it have to be as definable as a title, or can it be like a fundamental character trait?
I forget, but I feel like if we just go with something meaningful, I feel like that's the spirit of the thing.
But I think that the thing that truly has fundamentally changed about Caspian in this moment is that Caspian has a secret from Foothill.
Mm.
And the secret is about Foothill.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that introduces something really scary into their relationship.
We can do that. We just have to make sure the other shoe drops later.
I wrote down just lock of hair ! That was a good move.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, just as we're walking back, Caspian is going to offer the sheath to Foothill and be like, do you want to wear the knife for a little while?
Oh, well, I mean, that's yours though, right? Like, I don't know. I don't want to.
You could just wear it for a little while. I'm sure that if you put the sheath on, You can just give it right back.
I mean, maybe later. I don't know
It
if
would look so good on you. It would look so cute on you, and I don't think I could pull it off, but it really brings out the blue in your eyes. You have really beautiful eyes.
Oh, I mean, I think no one's ever said that.
Just so you know, this moment is fucking Caspian up because Caspian is really trying to like find something out about this sheath and kind of trick Foothill, but also is realizing that he means it. Like Foothill has really beautiful eyes, and he's like, oh,
nice.
shit.
Yeah.
Foothill has really beautiful eyes.
Nice. Yeah. Foothill, like it's you can tell that like just like it's a combination of like like no like that's Caspian's. I should like it's not right to be like wearing something that like belongs to somebody else. And something about the fact that it's a sheath for a blade seems to be weirding me out a little bit. And he's like, well, maybe I can just hold it for you until we meet up with the others. I've got a hand for you.
Yeah, perfect. Here, I'll carry the ham.
Okay.
Trade you. I'm gonna carry the ham.
Giant ham. So he kind of carries the whole way, and then like it never pockets it. Never just like the whole way just kind of got it in his palm, and almost like to make like to keeps glancing at you like I've still got it.
You just hang on to that.
Okay, and then I'll give it back though.
And Caspian can feel the pull of Foothill and the pull of the sheath kind of in the same place. But it's like the pull toward Foothill is at like the top of Caspian's heart, and the pull to the sheath is at the bottom of Caspian's heart. And he's not 100% on what this sheath does, but he really wants to find out what happens if Foothill keeps it.
Okay.
That's the end for Caspian. Of the scene, not of life.
And that's it.
He dies. Ooh.
This is so great.
Worried about Foothill.
I'm sure he'll be fine. Nothing bad ever came from a weird sheath.
Yeah. I
have
accidentally moved the map. Oh no.
I have a couple of hypotheses about what that sheath might do, and one of them is very bad and the other one is very good. And I'm so concerned in both directions.
Gailey, you did this.
So what are you talking about?
I don't know what that fucking thing does. I can tell you what Caspian's hoping it does, but I don't want that to ruin. Steer anything. I'll just keep it in my little. I'll just keep it in my little think box up here.
I like it.
Okay, I think I am. Am I playing the Magus?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have a short scene. Hospitality of Grandmother Black. Okay. So the Magus gathers everyone up at the docks of Estalia. And she's, as she usually does, she gets you all out of bed at the crack of dawn and is like, let's go. And no one's even there yet. Maybe there are a few like crab catchers just milling around. But they're like, this crew that's outfitted and ready to go looks very strange. It's a foggy morning, and out of the fog, you see the Sea Wing, which is a beautiful ship, a really grand ship, and at the front of what's the thing called, the figurehead, the masthead, the statue that's attached at the end, the front of the masthead. The masthead? Yeah, thank you. I think where that's supposed to be, you can see the figurehead. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, wait, a masthead is the thing that says who edited a newspaper.
it's just confusing because a mast is a ship led, so and a figure is not. But yeah, I think you can see these metal curlicues and things wrapping around where a figurehead is supposed to go, but the figurehead is not there. But at the front of the ship stands a figure in a hood um, with a staff. And she's like the ship is just sailing very calmly into the harbor, and this hooded figure steps off and onto the dock and steps in front of the Magus, and you realize that they both look just symmetrical in stature. And a breeze kind of lifts a corner of this figure's hood, and she looks exactly the same as the Magus. And they kind of just stare at each other for a moment. When for a long silent moment, and then this stranger, this identical stranger, kind of breaks this moment and just brings the Magus into like a very cursory hug, like just brings her in, taps her twice on the back, and the Magus says, "It's good to see you too, grandmother." And this figure just turns and leads you all onto the ship. And there seems to be kind of like a pre-verbal communication going on with this stranger and the Magus, because they don't say a word to each other, but they exchange these looks, and then the Magus turns to you all and go, "Oh, all right, Fawn, you're sleeping there. Caspian over there, Foothill. We actually have a cabin that's big enough to fit you, so go below deck." And yeah, they just the Magus is the translator of the hospitality of Grandmother Black, and they get you all settled and head off.
Quick question, Fawn. Did we go see that show? Like the Maestro gave you the tickets for it, do you think?
Yeah, maybe we can like include it in like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was last night. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So as we're settling in on the ship, you know, we haven't even left the dock yet, and Foothill, goes scopes out his cabin, and then you see him kind of, meander carefully back up to the deck. Gets right up to the railing on the port side, looks out of the ocean again, stomps over to the starboard side, looks at the little bit of water that he can see between, the boat and the dock, and then kind of pauses there for a second. And then to whoever happens to be in earshot, kind of hear him loudly proclaim to himself, "Yeah, I don't feel well." Makes it 2 steps away from the railing, and then his face kind of starts to turn green, and he's like, "Nope, don't feel well at all." And it dawns on everyone that Foothill, it might be a little seasick, and hasn't even left the dock yet. And kind of like, so he kind of stands there and takes a couple deep breaths. Very, like, I think making a very obvious show of looking as calm and composed and deliberate as he can. Makes his way back below decks. Gives this, like, when he passes all 3 of you, and even the Magus, gives this very formal, like, "How do you do? Everything's fine," sort of nod. Disappears into his cabin. Closes the door. And then for a long while afterwards, unless everybody goes to check in on him, is not seen. inside his cabin, there's a surprisingly wide, would be a bed as the ship, but somewhere for him to sleep, and the little wash basin and stuff, and everything is the right size for him, which makes no sense whatsoever. But he can't even think about that because he's really not feeling well. And there's no porthole, thankfully, but there is a mirror above the kind of the wash stand. And Foothill, by himself, just kind of like sits cross-legged, in front of the washstand, in front of this mirror, and just kind of, takes a deep breath, chin in his hands, waiting for this, the nausea to pass, which is this like incredibly bizarre feeling he's never felt before. Doesn't quite pass, and like, all right. And he's staring at himself in the mirror, and he realizes three things. One, the color of his skin is really not right. And it's been a long time since he looked himself in the mirror, and he's like, that's not, no. It's like the color of a bog. The second thing he realizes is that unknown, or sorry, kind of without realizing it, he's kind of like been just kind of putting around with what all the stuff he carries around. He's got the sheath that he's still holding on to. And the third thing he realizes as he starts to, there's a moment where the nausea starts to pass, is that maybe Caspian's right, and he really does have very nice blue eyes. And he just kind of sits there and stares for a bit, and that's the end of the scene.
So the camera goes from Foothill looking in the mirror in his cabin to Fawn looking in the mirror the next morning in the captain's quarters. And behind Fawn, who's like brushing her hair in the mirror, is Grandmother Black looking at her with a satisfied smirk. Gailey, would you play Grandmother Black? And Irene, would you play the nasty thing that I'm thinking about myself in the mirror?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm just brushing my hair.
Wow.
The nasty thing you think about yourself says, like, you haven't changed at all. You didn't need to go back to the academy. You're still the same.
Grandmother Black from behind Fawn is going to go, that's your passage covered.
If it needed to just be a deposit, let me know.
My quarters are quite a bit nicer than the crew quarters in the cabins below decks.
I thought that as soon as I saw where my berth.
What's got you so shy all of a sudden?
I feel like Fawn is like using the mirror to avoid meeting the captain's eyes, and also sort of looking at like all of the different keepsakes that are around the room, like all the places that Grandmother Black has been, like the map, the books, the little vials full of inexplicable teeth, and just like there's like worldly like the maestro, and there's worldly like Grandmother Black, and it's sort of got her feeling like more coy and more earnest than she expected.
You wonder how long you're going to be able to use this currency of intimacy and brief connection. You wonder how long you've got left.
Hey, unless the captain's got something, we can cut right there. That's beautiful.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, cut. Good. Thank you.
Okay, so Caspian is down in the galley. Caspian came down to deliver 2.5 hams and a large wheel of cheese to the cook in the galley. And this is how Caspian is like, hey, this is my passage. This is my fare. But also we just can't eat this much ham and cheese on our own. And the galley cook starts making croque monsieurs for everybody's lunch. And Caspian kind of just like sits on a barrel in the corner and stares at his hands and starts humming to himself. And the song he's humming is really similar to the sharpening song, but it's a little different. It's a little sadder and a little more wistful. Could I ask Brandon? Could I ask you to play the cook,
Can do.
the galley cook? So Caspian is like humming this song, and his hands are starting to glow a weird sickly green.
And the cook looks up at what they're doing and says, "You didn't get any of that on the ham, did you?"
I think I kind of got it on everything, if I'm honest.
Well, that sounds like you've had a bit of a journey before this one.
You could say that. You could say that. Hey, do you mind? Do you mind if I take like 7 or 8 of those to go? A friend of mine's not feeling so great, and I want to make sure he gets some nutrients in him. He's a big guy.
Oh yeah, the one that
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I noticed the boat wobble a little bit when he climbed on board. Yeah, no, I mean you're the one that brought me all this, so I can give you 7 or 8 or 10 portions. What you were humming there, catchy.
Was I humming? Oh, I didn't realize I was just lost in thought. What did it sound like?
I mean, it's not not the jauntiest of tunes I've ever heard, but had a depth, I think was how I would describe it. You hear a lot of depth in this place, and he gestures kind of vaguely towards Stalia, but that one stood out.
Was it like this? And Caspian just like really quickly hums a few bars of the sharpening song, and all of the knives in the room start to like glow a little.
Oh, what did I said? What did I say about getting that on? You really did get it on everything. Okay.
No, it's fine. They'll just be sharper.
Oh.
Hopefully on the blade part.
He's already picked up one of them and kind of pauses and sure that he's like, well, it much obliged.
So was that it? Was that the song?
Kind of. I mean, maybe something by the same composer, but not quite.
I don't really know any other songs.
I mean, who knows what rattles around in there sometimes, right?
Sure. Yeah. Can I grab these sandwiches?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. Let me know how they taste. We'll be eating a lot of ham the next 2 days, I think.
Sure. Yeah. And Caspian is going to take this stuff down to Foothill. Are you okay with
Yeah.
transitioning? I'm sorry, I did not
Pulling double
think
duty.
through. I did not think through that you would have to pull double duty.
It's like being a game master. It's all good.
So I'm just gonna tap on Foothill's cabin door, and as I'm walking up to it and as I'm tapping on it, I'm humming that song again, and my hands and all these sandwiches are glowing that same kind of sickly green.
You hear from inside a not quite like a pained grunt, but definitely a tired grunt of like, I'm here.
I brought you some croque monsieurs.
Okay, I'll try them. You can come in.
I'm gonna come in, and as I'm coming in, I'm like, "Did you know that croque monsieur means Mr. Crunch?" And then I'm gonna turn and see Foothill and go, "Oh, oh, Footy, you don't look so good."
He's still like he's still facing the mirror and he just kind of like sighs this heavy sigh and goes, I look like a swamp.
You look like a swamp, but a very nice swamp. Have you eaten anything?
Not yet.
Okay, well let's try it. Let's try it with a Mr. Crunch, okay? And I'm gonna pick up a sandwich and go, woo! Here comes Mr. Crunch.
And Foothill gives you this look like even he's like, come on. But then he takes it and kind of like looks at it and you can see like it like brings it close, holds it away a little bit, and this is from the ham that we bought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's from the ham that we bought.
He takes a single bite and slowly swallows it, and so far so good.
You got this. And Caspian's just gonna sit down on the floor and kind of like as Foothill grapples with these sandwiches, start just quietly humming that same song again.
Here, yeah, Foothill mumbles between, but he starts, eating more quickly once he once he feels up to it. And kind of mumbles between bites. That one's pretty.
Who's pretty?
Your song is that one's pretty. It's pretty.
Thanks. Thanks. I gotta go.
Oh,
You feel better, okay?
yeah, okay, I will. Yeah.
And Caspian's gonna like dart out the door, shut the door, and then just like lean back against it and go like, shit.
I'm cackling.
And that is the end.
Amazing.
I'm going to choose Crow's Nest, What Lies on the Horizon. And Justice kind of is just in awe of this ship. Like they've got their notebook out again. They've got a little bit of their old spirit back of just looking around and taking notes of like, oh wow, it's old, but it's still holding its own. And like, what do you use against assault damage, in comparing what they know versus what Grandmother Black does around this ship. And they climb up to the crow's nest to have a scan on what lies on the horizon. And they see way in the distance where the ocean changes color from this like reflection of the sky, this kind of blue. They're in this patch that's quite beautiful and clear, and you can sometimes see like sea creatures and dolphins that jump up to what lies on the horizon, which is just it's the lack of color. It's not black, it's like the color of the floaties that you get in your eyes. It's a big blind spot that's on the horizon, and they kind of rub at their eyes and just try to squint um, and just look very confused. And they call down to the captain, and they ask like, "What is that? How do we get through it? It doesn't look like we should." And Dave, could you play Grandmother Black and give a response?
How do we get through it?
Hmm.
Time to bring out the lamb.
We have a lamb?
And Grandmother Black makes the call, and the first mate comes up from the bows of the ship, dragging a lamb, carrying a knife.
Oh, I think Justice like scurries down from the crow's nest and is like, is there another, I mean, I don't mean to doubt your authority. You're the captain, but are we going to sacrifice a lamb right now?
We're going to eat it afterward.
Yeah. Wow. Why do we have to do that? Is there no way across?
She gestures with her chin at the shape.
Yeah.
So if you know how to get through that without using the old ways, then you know more than I do.
Old ways. I think Justice kind of ponders on that, like, okay. And they think of what they mean when they have the desire of building a new world, of like, and they think of the conversation they had at the fork of the river about always having another choice. And they really don't want to stay there for the bleeding of the lamb, but they make themselves stay, of like, no, I have to know the shape of this old world and the shape of old ways before I make a new one. Yeah. And we're heading up to my hard stop, but I was wondering if before we go, if we can, like, as a group, maybe talk through the Sightless Sea and the Lost Islands, of like, what do we think happens there?
Maybe as our outro, do you want to, like, we each say a thing about, maybe we each add a detail about something from one of the islands?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay.
Foothill.
Oh no. Okay, I think partway through the voyage, having eaten a little bit, and then probably eaten a little bit more, the Foothill eventually makes his way back up from below decks, looking a little less like a swamp. Not totally back to his usual complexion, but some of the green is gone. And he comes up to, like, kind of, peeks his head up onto the deck just as the ship is passing the first of these three lost islands. And it takes him a second to realize why, like, the outline of that island in the distance is so striking to him. But it dawns on him that, like, the silhouette of it, like, kind of the outline that it makes, is almost the spitting image of one of the few peaks that he could see through the top of the mist back home. And as he's watching that, and he takes a seat on the deck, and starts telling the three of you and the Magus, if the Magus is nearby, about that mountain, which they always called the Mountain of Hope back home. and just kind of describes, like what its peaks look like, and what they know about the rocks there, and the goats that live on the hill, and just kind of like weaves this again rambly foothill like sort of tale. And but by the end of it, he's feeling even better than he was before.
If I can cheat, is it able to grab this card? Or is it like, oh, look. Okay, I'm just going to cheat and use I just saw them like through the thing. I'm going to cheat and use the theme from this card. Hold on. How do I flip it? Flip. Hospitality of the Mother.
So cool.
So at one of the stops when we need to get more rum and whatever other like provisions in order to make it across the sea, the first mate is looking for volunteers to like row with the boat, like to go to the Isle of Youth, and Fawn finds herself volunteering like out of some like weird impulse, even though it's not normally like her thing. And she just has like a surreal sort of evening with like all of, because it's the mother and then like all of these like 12-year-olds, and it's this like bizarre kind of a place where it's like there's no adults except for this one person. And like, anyway, so it has this, it's one of those things where she's telling the stories about it when she gets back to the ship and everyone is like, okay, fun. But then just like using her muscles to work the oars, and like it just started to give her the idea that maybe it's still like a currency of her body, but like she's just thinking about other ways that she can spend it.
So leaving that island and heading as we pass the final island, Caspian is spending more and more time above deck, not wanting to go below decks at all, not wanting to risk going to the part of the ship where people might be sleeping or hanging out or looking into mirrors with their beautiful blue eyes. And there's one evening that Caspian is sleeping up in the crow's nest. And as we pass that third island, Caspian sees a huge explosion of bog green light on that island and starts ringing the bell in the crow's nest. That's like, everybody, something happened that you have to see. But by the time people come up on deck, there's no more light. There's no sign of the explosion. Caspian's trying to explain it, and everyone's like, green light? What green light? And Caspian's like, like this. And like starts frantically trying to hum the song that's been in the back of his head this entire voyage to make his hands glow. But it's just not working. And finally he's like, you know what, forget it. Let's just go to bed. And that's the first night that Caspian actually sleeps in his own cabin.
I think Justice spends a lot of time bothering Grandmother Black. And the comedy is she looks exactly the same as the Magus. So sometimes they get the wrong person and they just start talking and they're like, so how do you, like, when you come across storms, how do you sail through that? And then the Magus turns around and is like, I would have no idea. And they're like, Magus, I'm so sorry. And but yeah, in one of their, I think in the last island, when they're just sailing around it, it's extremely rocky, and Grandmother Black is at the wheel and very deftly avoiding all the jagged edges, and Justice is like poised with their notebook, knowing that they shouldn't bother her because she's focusing and she has to navigate her beautiful vessel through this treacherous terrain. So instead of asking all of the questions, they just write it down. Like every time they have an urge, they just write down a new one. And on the top corner of their notebook, they've circled 3 times like old ways and put question marks next to it. And yeah, and I think that's how we end on justice. They're just thinking very hard.
It's like a Buffy the Vampire like research scene, and then we're like fading to the next.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Perfect.
Thanks, y'all.
That's great.
Yeah, this
Thank
was
you all
so
so
great.
much.
Yay.
So fun.
That was
Oh,
so
man.
fun. I love doing this with you.
Yeah,
I
this
love
is so
doing
much fun.
this too.
You guys are awesome.
You guys
You're
are
such good
awesome.
storytellers.
It's really
Wild.
nice telling stories with people that you want to tell stories with.
Yes.
It's a good feeling.
It's a good feeling.
Right?
Ooh.
Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording, and then we can leave and whatnot. And
Yeah,
and
excellent.
we'll do this again. How do I stop recording? I know how to do that.
You got this.